Hey, it's Martin Bryan here on my guitar YouTube channel, and I want to talk about how important it is to sometimes be lucky as compared to good. And that's worked for me quite a bit in my life. So anybody who's watched my channel or my Facebook page knows that I've been really happy with my Epiphone traditional Pro Les Paul. Epiphones are the lower Chinese brand of Gibson, so the manufacturing costs are much lower, but they still use the same quality tone woods. And there's a silkscreen they put on the back for their custom shop, and saying that it's handcrafted, which really just means that they take the best of the guitars that they make and they put that silkscreen on it, and it represents some of the best guitars they make there at the shop in China. And I'm a big fan of some of the YouTube people that are out there, the big names like Rob Chapman, Lee Anderton, and Jeremy and others. And I watch those channels religiously, and they do the really cool, I'm saying "and" a lot here, maybe I'll edit this, they do the really cool comparisons. And for the most part, it was one of those comparisons that made me really want to get a better Les Paul, because originally I had an LP 100 that was at Best Buy, back when Best Buy was toying with selling instruments. So I wanted something better. Saw the shoot off between the Epiphone traditional Pro and then the Gibson traditional Pro, and said, I'm going to get the one that's $400 and not the one that's $3,500. I've been very happy with it. But as those guys say in the videos, there are some minor differences. The build quality is very good, but there's minor issues. As I'm looking at it now, the neck pickup, there's probably an 1/8 inch gap between the pickup housing itself and the body. And then on the bridge pickup, there's a smaller gap, probably like a 1/16 inch. So it is a little untidy. And although some of these people on the video channels say that the binding's just painted on and that the inlays aren't abalone, they're just plastic, that is absolutely wrong. I've played that guitar for hours and hours and hours, and I can tell you the binding is real, and those are not cheap plastic inlays. As a matter of fact, I'll just bring it over here for a second. So you can see the lovely headstock, Epiphone and abalone, really nice inlays. Probably can't see the gaps I'm talking about at this angle, but again, for what it was, a $400 guitar that I was able to get for $325 at Guitar Center, been super happy with it. But kept watching those videos, and I was like, all right, I'm at a point in my life where I need to have a Les Paul, but I can't afford thousands of dollars. Got other responsibilities, kids, families, the IRS, we won't go there. So read a lot about the Les Paul Juniors. Now back in the day, the Les Paul Junior was a really cheap, crappy guitar. Some people liked it, most didn't, that had one pickup on it, and as such only had one volume and one tone. And it had a toggle switch, like who knows what the hell that did, because there was no reason for it. But back in about 2014, they came out with a Les Paul Junior, and they just called it an LPJ. That everybody said, hey, this is a real Les Paul. It's just missing the features that a connoisseur would like. So it doesn't have a binding, it doesn't have, abalone inlays, all that crap. So I was looking for one of those, and I always trade in an old guitar or another guitar when I go to purchase something, because I just don't have the money. So I was happy with my Chapman ML3, but carpal tunnel, arthritis in both wrists. That thing is of a massive scale, and it was bigger than my Les Paul. And I could see why, because having met Rob at his East Coast tour at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and went to shake his hand. The man's hands are huge. He dwarfs my hand. So I could easily see him playing that guitar and not having any issues. For me, pushing 50, conditions I mentioned, that guitar was just too big and too heavy. So I took that into Guitar Center. And here's the point of the story, lucky as opposed to good. And I just see this Les Paul sitting there. It wasn't a Junior, it was a Studio, which is another low end, low frill. It really looked pretty nice. I checked it out, and the serial number in the back, I could tell that it was 2016. I pretty much bought it sight unseen because my hands were really hurting, and didn't even play it more than for like a minute. Took it home. There's some videos on YouTube. Checked it out. I love it. The thing is phenomenal. What I didn't know is that 2015, which I could have very easily have gotten because I didn't know what I was doing, was a very bad year for Gibson, and a lot of people are saying that online and on YouTube. So some of those people I mentioned previously have relationships with Gibson. They sell their products, they do their videos, and never did they mention that there were quality control issues and even tone issues and sourcing issues with the 2015 models. So I got completely lucky when I got the 2016. Flawless build, flawless finish, no gaps where the pickups are installed. The look of it, you can see from the other videos and pictures, is just absolutely phenomenal. And you know, there really is, even though I love the Epiphone, there is a difference. The Epiphone has got very high quality double coil pickups, and I've bought and sold and owned a lot of